Good morning, class. Today we are going to be talking about cell division, which is also cell multiplication, because that's not confusing. This is the start of Unit 5, which is the cell cycle, and this is the process that cells go through in order to replicate themselves. You're going to start with your levels of organization. I've only highlighted cell because that's all we're talking about today. You're going to title it Cells, the Great Divide. And then you need to have your Cornell notes down here on the side. Okay, this is 5 points, this is 10 points. So if you would like a 100, you need to have your stuff on your page, okay? So according to cell theory, all cells have to come from other cells. So this means at some point you were a single cell that divided and divided until you grew into the size that you are now, okay? So I have drawn a picture of you from when you were very first created. This is the egg from your mom and the sperm from your dad, and they get together and they form a zygote, and this was the beginning of you. This zygote is one cell, and then that cell divided and divided and divided and divided until we get to our teenager who really hates to draw pictures and take notes. So in order to duplicate themselves, cells go through a very specific set of stages to grow, and then they copy their DNA or synthesize a new set of DNA, grow again, and then they divide in half. Okay, after each stage, cells do a self-check to make sure everything went according to plan. So your DNA is very specific, and if something goes wrong, like if some of your DNA didn't get copied correctly, then every copy that's made from that cell will be incorrect as well. So your body has implemented kind of like a fail-safe or a self-destruct. So if after they grow a little bit, they stop and they check, okay, do I have everything that I need? All right, that's great. And then they duplicate the DNA and they say, okay, is everything okay? Is all the DNA there? Did we copy it right? Yeah, that's great. So then they grow again and they make some more stuff and they're like, okay, does everything here, is the DNA still good? Everything's working right? Great. Then we can divide and make 2 new cells. If it fails any of those checkpoints, it goes through what's called apoptosis. Okay, so if something went wrong, apoptosis occurs. This is when a cell commits suicide. Basically, it self-destructs. When you were in your mom's stomach, you actually had webbing in between here. One type of apoptosis is these cells were just programmed to self-destruct. And so all the webbing disappeared from in between your fingers. We still have a little bit down here. And sometimes people, it doesn't disappear. And so you'll have people that have webbed fingers or webbed toes because apoptosis didn't occur. The other version of apoptosis is if something has gone wrong, then it's like, sorry guys, I'm out, because if I copied myself, everything would be wrong. All right. So sometimes some conditions like radiation, exposure to radiation, or exposure to toxins like poisons can cause a cell to miss these checkpoints, and it will replicate over and over and over out of control, which is what we call cancer. Okay. So if for some reason your cells plow through those checkpoints and they don't, your cell never stops to see if everything is okay. It just keeps dividing and dividing and dividing. And out of control, that's what starts growing tumors. And sometimes those tumors are benign, which means they don't really cause you any problems. And sometimes they're malignant, which means it can travel to other parts of your body. And that's the most dangerous type of cancer. All right. So the cell cycle is very, very important. In order to grow and repair, cells need to be able to duplicate themselves. So in order for you to not be one cell anymore, you needed to be able to replicate your cells. Anytime you cut yourself or get a tooth taken out or get stitches or, I don't know, accidentally brush too hard against something and scrape off your skin cells, they need to be able to repair your body needs to be able to repair itself, and it does that by building new cells. Okay? The cell cycle is extremely important. It's so very important. If your cells did not replicate, you could not exist. You would just die because your cells die all the time, and they're constantly being replaced. Okay, over here on the side, these are very important notes. These are brief summaries of important items from the bulk of the notes. Okay, so the cell cycle happens in stages. It's very specific. It's not just we're going to do whatever we want when we want to. It's a very set, you go here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and over and over and over again. All right, cancer is out of control cell growth, and apoptosis is programmed cell death. Okay, so these are the notes for today. You're going to now get a disruption of the cell cycle foldable. You're going to label it here with each phase. So I've got G1, S, G2, M, and C. And then you're going to write causes or risk factors for each of these types of cancer underneath here. Okay?